future. The innovative mindset thrives with
a quotient of knowledge and learning,
a splash of creativity,
and an awakening of emotional intelligence.
Here at Winn, we've been working with some inspiring businesses
who've been setting us challenges.
And you might like to try them too.
Would you like to
generate and recognise ideas and alternatives,
think differently when problem solving,
inviting you to be open,
communicating with authenticity,
and manifesting what you wish?
A world full of strong, positive innovators. So we're back for our next challenge, and I'm quite excited about this one because I know that we're working with Philippe from Worcestershire. He's really well known to us at the Winn community, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what he's going to set us and to hear some more about his fantastic work that he does. So I'm just going to press play and get straight into it.
I'm really excited. I can't wait to delve into the emotional intelligence. So let's watch the video.
Hi Winn team, I've got 3 really exciting challenges for you guys. The first challenge is, if fear was a character, what would it look like?
Brilliantly exciting. Philip looks amazing already. He's surrounded by so much creativity. He just oozes passion about creativity as well. So need to get inspired.
Okay, there's some big questions there. This is going to be a little bit trickier than just trying to eat more fruit and veg, I think. Fear, that's a really interesting one. That's going to be really reflective, I guess.
That sounds absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get stuck in. I actually feel a bit like a Disney animator, which is always exciting. Right, let's begin.
Okay, so Philip asked us to think of a character when it comes to fear, and sort of what our understanding was. So I drew my character. I drew it in a way that looks fearful to me, but also gives that emotion of fear that I get when I get scared or hurt, or all those emotions that come with it. Basically, it's a hooded figure, and all the light is being repelled from them. Doesn't bring any light into any situation. It's just very, very dark. And what is going on here is the ground is breaking away, because that sense of, I think if you would put your foot on something and the ground were to give way, that to me is how I would describe that feeling of fear. So that's me trying to describe the feeling as well. So that's fear character.
Actually really excited to see what you guys came up with, and I hope it's been a really fun experience as well. You know, when we talk about creativity, I love the variation in terms of the ideas that people come up with and the way they execute those ideas. So I think there's a lot to be learned from, you know, how people interpret the same brief in different ways. The one thing that I'm definitely convinced about is there's no right or wrong result. There might be, you know, stronger and weaker interpretations or ways of visualizing or explaining something that can always be improved. But in terms of the core concept, you know, there is no right or wrong. Simon, you first.
Okay, so I've copied this. I had it on an iPad in front of me because I'm not talented at drawing at all. So I've gone for, this is my character.
Oh, wow.
And so it's kind of a mix of the difficulties that you can have with just it being caught in your own mind, that you're sort of just, you're bricked up, you're sort of locked up entirely, and you're stuck in that sort of cycle of not being able to get out. And how do you unlock yourself and get away from there? And then I remembered an old technique from primary school where you can smudge everything. So I thought, it's like a GCSE project. I do that, but also that sort of smudginess and drifting away that sort of it puts you back, and it fades you out when you need to be unlocking and going forward.
What does the hat represent?
The picture that I was copying had a hat, and I'm not very good at faces or ears or heads, so it was just easier to do that.
That's actually a very clever technique. You know, if there's something that you're not very good at, is to hide it with the stuff that you are very good at or that you have available.
I have no idea how people do ears. That's just incredible.
Mine's a lot more cartoony. So,
Oh, fantastic.
when
yeah.
I first started thinking about it, all I could see was a big black hole. That was sort of what, and I thought it's just one that can expand and encompass, or it can be really small. And yeah, and then I started drawing and it became a little creature, but, and quite cartoony. But I thought it is that dark, unknown, not sure what your fear is. Yeah.
Yeah, so the uncertainty of it, and can you show it to me again? Yeah, and I like the the way that there's a lot of jaggedy lines and stuff like that. You know, it gives like a vibrant feel to the character. You know, and you would almost be worried of holding him into your hands. You know, for the pain that he would cause.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very good character.
So my picture is the Grim Reaper around the earth. So basically I went with the fear of death because no matter what religion, culture, country, there's always some form of death, the Grim Reaper, and there's always some form of afterlife, yet no one has ever seen it. No one is sure that it's there. It's that unknown, but it's always there. So that's the fear that I've gone with.
Yeah, and I like the cape and the skeleton and all that, because the ultimate fear, I suppose, is the fear of death, a very scary type of character. And I like the fact that you've encompassed it. It's like a global thing. It is one of the emotions that are one of the most primitive emotions, and that we all experience at some point, and that we all want to avoid as much as possible. Very good.
I think I shared with you, Philippa, some on Zoom, my character, just to show to the video. This is my character. And I think subconsciously I copied some kind of, I had to watch possibly a lot of like Netflix horror stories, because my husband showed me later, Anna, it's not a very original look. You can find so many of them. But the idea behind it was, is the blindfold eyes. So can you imagine like yourself when you have this blindfolded eyes and try to cross a road? And these are, for example, emotions which associate with fear. So I could feel very uncertain and also anxious, overly cautious, and perhaps paralyzed. It's to come to extreme, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes. So briefly, this is what I try to associate with. I added this kind of blood or wherever it is, but I don't, it wasn't a genuine idea. I think I made it to more, dramatic. They're supposed to be just like emotions, not blood. This character still has got eyes under the blindfold. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what I like about that one is that, fear is one of those emotions as well that, blinds us to opportunities, that kind of forces us to look away from things, or avoid things.
Yes, exactly. Avoidance as well. And this paralyzed, you don't know what to do actually, because you're paralyzed by fear.
Yeah.
You just stay for a second and gosh, what I'm going to do. So this is the idea behind this.
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that, each character so far has been like really strong. And, a lot of symbolism built into that. So that's all very good.
I think we express as a team, so you could see personality behind our characters, and we are different, definitely with different approach, but also it's so interesting as well.
Yeah.
Yes, how nice complementary we are, even in this emotions.
Yeah, and that was kind of part of the the exercise. The fact that that we put a lot of our personality into the way we interpret things and the way we visualize things, you know, and I picked the character because, you know, sorry, the character has personality as well, you know, and you can project some of that, your own personality, your own ideas onto the character and onto the attributes. What I found really interesting with your interpretations of the character is that your characters were a lot about the experience of fear. So, you know, and the type of experiences that that character represents and, you know, elicits and stuff like that. While my interpretation was more from the fear as a function. So, you know, fear, although we always try to avoid fear and stay away from it, and we don't like it and want to get away from it, you know, the emotion of fear is actually one of the most friendly, in some sense, emotions that we've got. You know, if it wasn't for fear, we would have all been dead. You know, fear is the one that protects you from danger. Fear is the one that steers you away from threats. You know, that cautions you to not go. But the flip side of that is, of course, that fear can also then prevent us from reaching out for opportunities. You know, and that's where fear then becomes a problem. But in my mind, fear is very much a friend. You know, that I kind of a friend that I don't like to interact that much with, but I know he cares for me.
Doesn't get invited around for dinner too often, but
yes,
the occasional phone call maybe.
Yes. What did you guys like the most about this project?
What did I like most about it? I liked the headspace it gave me, actually. Just taking a bit of time to actually think about it. And it started off being, I was going to put I hate spiders, so I was going to put spiders in it, and then it was like, well, do you know what? I'm not that, you know, fear. No, actually, I'm not that scared of spiders to really sum up my feeling of fear. So I kept finding I was going through different layers of what is, and then it ultimately turned into an emotion, and then I was trying to work out how I could visualize the feeling I was getting as opposed to something I was scared of. So that I found that really interesting thought process to go through, actually. So yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. So we do this just as like an open conversation. You guys can chip in then.
I was going to start with a clown, actually, because I hate clowns with a passion.
Oh, really?
And then I thought, I can't actually draw a clown because I don't want to sit and look at one and have to draw it. And I sort of went through the sort of thing of, well, actually, not just being locked out of your ideas, but that fear of your mind collapsing on you, not being able to look after your own mind, which is obviously so key and so important. Working from home and things like that, and running your own business, I can't imagine how you balance your well-being, your family and your home life, your work, and some people are also still doing a full-time job as well as their own business as well. So it was those balances and how people do that, just incredible.
And I got from yours being locked inside your own mind as well, like just you've kind of escaped your own thoughts and your own. And that was, what I saw, and that's very scary.
Stuck inside your own fears.
Oh, yeah.
Get out from that. Yeah, it's horrible.
And that comes back to that, what Anna was talking about with the sort of it stops you and it paralyzes you. And that is what it can do.
But I don't think that for this exercise as well is you know, I kind of related it to the creative process every one of us has in business. You know, business is a very creative process, you know, and I wanted you guys to, you know, I know that, like you said, Simon, you're not necessarily an artist and all that, but that doesn't matter. It's not about the artistic abilities and all that, but the creative process, you know, the fact that you start off with an idea and it develops and it changes and you look at other things and it influences you, you know, and you go through a process. What you also said, Robin, is that, you know, with creativity, you know, especially in the early phases of creativity, you need to not have any restraints or as few restraints as possible, you know. And if it is then a process of, you know, where you are developing a brand or something like that, you know, is that eventually you can start narrowing it down with logic, you know, so that it does actually do what it needs to do in the end, you know. But it's the starting process of that. It needs to be, you know, free flow, open. As many ideas as possible into the mix, You know, that's why, you know, brainstorming is such an excellent thing, because people come from all different angles, as we saw with the, you know, the different interpretations that we've got here. And then, you know, then consensus start forming, and, you know, this becomes more and more clear. And eventually then you know, define that marketing piece, or, you know, that block that you're writing, or, you know, your brand, your logo, you know, the video you're creating. Fantastic. I really enjoyed that. That's also an excellent result.
The second challenge is explain the nature of happiness using only Lego blocks.
Lego? I haven't played with Lego for 25 years, maybe. But I know it's a huge thing, and people get really into Lego at any age, so I may discover a new passion there. Let's go for it. So without any Lego blocks to hand, I thought I would use the next best thing and bring technology into it. So here is my Lego house. And the reason for the house is, I think, for happiness. For me, it is having that settled home life. When you get back, the dog is really excited to see you. Actually getting back is quite nice these days, because it means you've been out somewhere, and just having that happy home life that I think leads to happiness everywhere else. So we've got a nice little convertible car there, I can dream, a little pond there, there I am doing some gardening, I think that's what I meant it to be. Nice little tree there with a bird, and then really nice open and airy house. I think it looks more like an estate agent's listing than anything else, but that is my attempt.
But I think I can work it out. Yeah, I like that challenge.
I may have, it's good at different interpretations, because I think the only Lego I've got is Harry Potter. That might be cheating a little if that's already formed. So I may have to come up with something a bit more creative and how I'm gonna do that one. But yeah, this sounds really exciting. So can't wait. Let's get going.
So this is a quick video diary for Waxter. So for me, the main point of happiness is Disney themed. So as you can see, I've got my ears in the background, I have Disney cushions, I also have Disney plushies all around me. So there's loads of happiness all around me to make me happy.
With regards to happiness in Lego, so we did have a bit of fun. Simon found a link for us to go and have play with an app that's helped us with that, so there's a bit of footage on that as well. But I just brought along my little TARDIS, because basically happiness to me can be summed up with a TARDIS and Doctor Who, and all the adventures, excitement, family, that whole perspective that there's a whole big universe out there, while we're just, you know, on this planet here. So, you know, love all of that, but the excitement and that feel good factor that comes with a good episode of Doctor Who. So that was my happiness.
Unfortunately, I don't have any blocks, no Lego, no blocks at home. So I decided to use the stones in the garden. I found a few pebbles, few stones, and created like a Zen feature, which actually at the end of work I was pretty pleased with.
I choose Lego blocks because Lego blocks are a, you know, a very simplistic, easy to use construction mechanism, you know, that you can use in, you know, endless creative ways to express something or to explain something.
And I don't mind going first.
Okay, sorry.
So I didn't have any Lego blocks to hand, so I thought,
that's criminal, Simon.
I know. Well, I'm gonna buy some now. This has just inspired me. But I thought I'd use technology, so I hope you'll be proud. So I used a website where you can build
fantastic
Lego, and so for me, I built a house. Because it's a lot cheaper than buying one. And
that makes you happy.
I was very happy. And there was no stamp duty. I put in there all the things for me. So I think having that happy, safe home, that's really important for me, and then you can go out and do other things from there. So things in there such as being out in the garden makes me very, very happy. So there is a little Lego man doing some gardening by his pond. There's a nice barbecue there. It's just a happy, comfortable home, and that's an idea of happiness for me.
I think a lot of people can identify with that type of happiness.
Definitely, yeah.
And what I like about it, again, as with the characters, it expresses a lot of what's inside you, what makes you happy.
Definitely. And as I say, I think I'm going to have to go and buy some Lego now, because it was fun building it on screen, let alone doing it.
I found this one really hard and I found it really challenging. I also don't have Lego, but I have Duplo. So I went with Duplo. So this is what I've come up with.
Oh, fantastic.
But again, I didn't really, like I said, I found it really challenging. Yellow is my happy colour, and yellow makes me happy. So I chose all my yellow bricks. And for me, so this is my Duplo that I had when I was little, that my little girl now plays with. So again, it was sort of that happiness of going back to my childhood, and I've got lots of happy memories of playing with the Duplo, and I've now broken it, so that's fine. But yes, so, and it was just a case of I always used to really like sort of building them up and making them all nice colours or different patterns and things like that. So that's what I was trying to do. And I had a little door, and I thought I'd put it in like a house, because a house is the happiness, and it's that home feeling, and a bit of nature in there with the tree. Yeah, that was, like I said, I found it a lot harder than the others, this one.
Yeah, but I think, like Simon, the fact that, in some sense, what you really said there was that happiness is the experience you have of, creating something, that brings memories back, or that represents something that you enjoy, and happiness is something that we need to experience, and we only experience it if we actually are active in, doing something, in a process where that, that happiness gives us that satisfaction. So now, what I also love is the fact that you focused on color as well. That there's colors that makes you happy. And again, that must have come from childhood experiences, or or something that has triggered.
Sunflowers.
Sunflowers.
I think it's sunflowers are my sort of my happy flower.
Yeah.
And so yellow is always my sort of go-to color.
Yeah. Great, love it. Anna?
I took a photo because I don't have Lego, I don't have Duplo, I don't have any blocks. So I used stones in my garden.
Fantastic. I like the creativity already.
I tried to be creative, because otherwise I didn't, I could follow Simon's idea, because it's really cool. I tried to send you another link. So I don't know, you can see here. So it's my happiness, kind of Zen kind putting just stones together. I played yesterday in the garden, was very hot, but it was actually evening, and I used some water from our water feature, so make it nice and smooth. And
did you just balance those, Anna, or did you glue them?
No, I just put them on.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'd be there with the hot glue gun every day.
Laughing, Jess, because I put it on the water feature. I put water from inside coming, so it made this, space. So the darker part is just the top of my water feature. It's my actually studio recently. I'm doing and I made these stones just, with water, wet, to look nice and, shiny. And yeah, put them together. So to me, happiness is it's just harmony. This is how I find it, like peace, and the process of getting it. I know, and maybe you cannot train it, but you can. Once I am more aware about things, that what I need to be happy, and actually not to expect maybe too much from the world, or because sometimes we create this, things which are not really unrealistic to be happy, and at the end it looks like no, it actually doesn't make me happy at all, or I am not happier than actually I have much less. Just enjoy simple things.
Yeah.
And this is a rather state of mind than so to get happiness, rather state of mind than getting it through things, for example, through possessions.
Yeah.
This is how I feel, and it was good fun with water playing and washing the stones. And then I took a picture because it was a moment, because happiness is also a moment rather than a, you cannot be happy for your whole life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or you just need to, there are moments and the process of inner peace.
My building of what I did on screen, but for me the TARDIS is that happiness. It's and Doctor Who, that feeling of family where they all come together, but they're all having an adventure and they're all finding out new things and they're all going into space and they're all curious about stuff, and all of that to me is, and like you guys were saying, it's just, you can't have that all the time, and it's not, but just that feeling of euphoric kind of, oh my god, this is amazing, and there's no limitations and there's nothing that can stop us, and let's go and just have some fun. And I think that's a bit part of it as well, is a lot of it for me is fun, real sort of enjoyment, and just the possibilities of the world. It stops me thinking, because I overthink everything. Oh my god, we're just on this planet, and look at all of this, and that's all terrible, and this, and I'm going to read the news, and that's terrible. And then I just go, do you know what? I'm going to watch an episode of Doctor Who, and I'm just going to go and go into space for a bit, and and that really does chill me out, and really bring a bit of happiness. So yeah, I do go on about Doctor Who quite a lot. I'm very aware of that, but I'm not going to apologise.
Well, I don't think we should apologize for the things that creates happiness in oneself. Of course, unless it's damaging to other people. But I think the TARDIS is definitely not one of those. So again, I like the fact that all of you guys interpreted the brief in terms of what it is that brings happiness to you. And there was fantastic variation in the the types of things. Again, I think there are so many things that we can pursue that makes us happy.
Yeah, for me, happiness is quite easy. I don't think I've shown my happiness, so this is my happiness. I sadly can't afford a Disney castle, even in Lego, because they are very expensive. So instead we have Sorcerer Mickey, but this particular Sorcerer Mickey came from Disney World. So it was my first trip to Disney World. He's actually one of the first Disney plushies I've ever bought. So from that, he's now one of 50 plus. I have a lot. But yeah, these bring me happiness. Disney brings me happiness. Just everything about it. So when I was doing this, as soon as it said happiness, I was like, it's Disney. There's no other thing for me, really, that really makes me happy. When I get Disney parcels, Disney stuff, all my bits are out, and I get to look at them every day. So that makes me super happy. So, yeah.
Really do like, and anyone else listening to this who sort of knows Jess or Amy, I could have put good money on that Disney and Doctor Who would have come up at some point in this podcast.
So part of this exercise was also, and I found it really interesting, is that once you had the brief, part of the exercise was obviously finding out what happiness means to you, but the other part was telling somebody like us in the group what that is, and I thought you all did an excellent job of that, especially since everyone expressed some emotion in terms of inside their explanation, and in things like marketing and the way we've done our business and all that, one of the key elements is firstly being able to explain the value your business offers in a simple, easy way to understand. But almost more importantly, is that you need to build emotion into that explanation. you know, because everyone that's explained here, you know, what are the key things that makes them happy. Obviously, we took a theme that was already an emotion, you know, but you can see that, you know, the happiness that you guys experienced in doing that project. So when I was thinking, you know, how I would interpret this this brief, I was thinking I want to try and use as few Lego blocks as possible. And what I came up with was I was going to use just these 2 Lego blocks to explain the nature of happiness. So if you imagine that this is you, and this is something you need, that you want, you know, that can be a friend, some information that you need, you know, more money, successful business, whatever it is. You know, happiness for me is, as long as I know that I'm getting closer to this need that I have. You know, I experience the feeling of happiness. When something happens and it moves me away from what I need, you know, then I experience a sense of unhappiness. You know, when I get that need eventually, you know, that spikes the happiness, but then the happiness goes away because there's some other need that I'm pursuing and I'm trying to get closer to. If I'm standing still, then I kind of experience nothing. I'm neither going closer nor further away. So, you know, happiness is an emotion that when the mind knows that it's getting closer to a need fulfillment, it encourages you. It says, yeah, you're on the right way, you know, on the right track. Keep on going there. That's good. You know, and when you find that need, it says, yeah, that's the type of stuff you need, you know, more of that. When you move away from it, it says, oh, you know, we're doing something wrong. You know, somebody's preventing us from getting closer to our needs. You know, you need to find a way of solving this problem so we can get back to that need again. So that was my explanation with.
That's brilliant. Do you know what? That's I can really visualize that as well. All I can see is like these jet streams of happiness. And like once you say, once you've identified that need, get in the jet stream of it and go for it. I really like that. And knowing what that need is to keep you on that path to, yeah, I love that. That's brilliant.
So you're, you know, everyone, you know, the house and, you know, all the other constructions that you had explaining Lego, you know, what the happiness is would be this Lego block. So this is what you guys concentrated on. So I just thought, you know, another way of explaining this is the process of getting to that happiness and what it means if you are not able to achieve it, you know, then they have the flip side of unhappiness. So that was fun.
Brilliant.
You guys enjoyed that exercise?
Yes.
And the third challenge is, if you had to tell a story about what the meaning of life is, what would the opening line be?
And as for the big questions of life, well, there we go. We'll give it a go and see what we can do. This is going to be interesting.
I found it quite difficult. Many ideas came to my mind. I wasn't happy with most of them, and then I decided to go with the one line.
I think it was probably more tricky because, in some sense, you know, you had to kind of have an idea of what a story of the meaning of life is for you. But what we were interested in is just the opening line. You know, so how would you start that story? And the opening lines in stories is kind of a good example of something that we use in business a lot. So, you know, your headline for your ad, you know, the first thing somebody sees when they get to your website, you know, the introduction line of your video, you know, those are all, you know, the opening line of a story that you are going to tell, you know, whether it's a long story or short form story, you know, again, like your blog, you know, your newsletter. Those opening lines are incredibly important. So obviously with the animations we create, we really focus on what's that first line. So who wants to start with the opening line of the story of the meaning of life?
I'll do mine if you want.
Sure.
I quite like mine, I think. It's gonna work. So in the beginning, we knew nothing. In the middle, we thought we knew. And in the end, we find out.
That is absolutely brilliant. I love it. So shall we just go through everyone's and then we can have a chat about the different. Just go tell us yours again, Robin. I just want to write them down because.
In the beginning, we knew nothing. In the middle, we thought we knew, and in the end, we find out.
That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
Jess?
I got curiosity as being mine. So I've put curiosity certainly didn't kill the cat. It gave its life meaning.
Brilliant. They almost more than opening lines because they can stand on their own. I think that's very good. Anna?
Oh, okay. Have you ever thought about your name, the history behind it, why it was chosen for you, and how does it influence who you are? Question mark at the end.
Yeah, I like that. The question, because it, makes
it's just
what's going to come next.
The story will follow.
Yeah.
Hopefully, or maybe not.
You're Simon.
I've gone nice and simple. Let's go back to the very beginning.
That's excellent. And Amy?
So mine's a quote from Hamilton the musical, and I chose "Who lives, who dies, who tells your story."
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So how difficult was it to come up with these opening lines?
Very.
What was the process that you went through, Simon?
I guess it was that difficult thing of how do you sum all of that up in one sentence? That's a lot to sum up and sort of and get right, I guess. But something or I've certainly picked up from our launch pads that we do with businesses is the stories, and getting to work with innovators as well is that exciting thing of what is your story? I want to know how you fell into this, how you created this, how you did all of these things. And when I'm talking to businesses, normally I just go, what? How did you get into this subject? How did you get here? Because the stories behind it are just so fascinating. And I think that really helps to understand a business, where it came from, where that person came from, what the motivation is, what the ethos is. It wraps everything up. Their journey is really interesting.
Yeah.
I actually didn't find it too difficult, mainly because one, I love Hamilton, but when I watch it and I hear that, I always think it's really interesting because no matter how you live your life, everyone will have a different story of you and a different view of you. So why live your life against a particular meaning when you might as well just live it and enjoy your life? Because no matter what you do, someone will always have a different story. You can't control who lives, you can't control who dies, and you can't control who tells people about you. So you might as well just be you and enjoy it.
Brilliant.
Did anybody try to, go into depths of, what they understand the meaning of life to be, or did you just think, well, I'm not going to try and solve that one?
I started to, and then I was into paragraph 2 at that point, and felt I needed to roll it back. So yeah, I did exactly that. I was really talking quite etheric about stuff. Obviously went into the number 42 and then went into and all of this and really started raving on about stuff, and then went, yeah, that's not an opening line, is it? So then I had to kind of bring that back and go, what am I trying to say here? And that's where the curiosity bit came in, and then that's where that came from. So
yeah, I think that is the process. That's why I thought it might be a bit of a difficult challenge, because mostly when we do scripts and all that, the opening line is actually something we write last. So we write all of the script, all the story and all that, and then we kind of work it back to what that opening line is to introduce that story. So knowing what a story is was definitely going to be useful. So I thought you would have to think a little bit about what meaning means for you, and then like you said, Jess, then work it just work it back and say, what would that opening line be?
Definitely. That's exactly the process that I did. And I enjoyed it as well, actually, because I don't think I like the idea that I could write, and oh yes, I could write a book and all of that. And then it comes to practice, you're like, no, I'd be awful at it. But actually just going through a bit of the process and doing that, I enjoyed, because it's like, wow, that was fun. And that was, pushing the boundary a little bit of how I felt about writing that stuff. So yeah, it was good.
I actually looked up the definition of meaning to really focus in on some of the key words. Sort of go, what can I really focus in on? That helped, actually. That was a good starting point.
What did you do before Google, Simon?
Oh, I did pick up a diary.
What did any of us do before Google?
I've got a paper dictionary.
How was the start for you, Robin?
Yeah, I was thinking of what comes after life, and I think I did start thinking about, okay, what's the meaning of life and how does it all fit together? And actually I just sort of got to the point whereas I don't think we'll ever know that until it's done. And that's when it sort of came back to that, we think we know when we're alive and we're living our best lives, and we're like, yeah, we know, like, and it's that arrogance of actually we haven't a clue, and there's a much bigger purpose there. And that was my sort of thought process to it. And whatever you believe that bigger purpose to be, whether it be the universal God or just a higher being of what have you, they know, we don't know.
And do we need to know, actually?
Well, yeah, that's the
question.
thing. As long as you're going on and you're living for you, do you need to know the meaning? And if everyone's meaning at the time will be different as well, I guess.
Yeah. I also think we human beings, we are, and I think like our awareness is like I'm going philosophical now, but try to be quick with this. I think our awareness is a great thing, but also it's our it's a burden, because, and I started with this line, but then I thought maybe it's too, and I changed my mind into the line with the name, but it was something like I started. They walked along the stony beach with the ocean witnessing their conversation. You see, Thomas, we human beings are so unhappy because we always look for the meaning of in everything. I don't know if it's the best English, but it's like we always try to find it, and it's nurturing, and it could be great. It can push us to a lot of going behind the horizon and our discoveries, etc. But also it's our, it makes us very often unhappy, just looking for the meaning of everything.
Yeah.
Do we need to? Perhaps not, but we have to, because this is how our mind works. Like,
Really interesting.
And you guys obviously gave a lot of thought in terms of, the context of that opening line. Did you go through a process of thinking what makes a good opening line?
Yeah, I like something that I've got it in my head that I will write a book. Like I've always thought I'd really love to write a book, and so I've written loads of opening lines.
Oh, right.
And nothing else. And so I like to think of like what's going to really draw you in and make you sort of go, yeah, I want to carry on reading this. And I like stuff that I like books and films that start at the end, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes.
Think, how did we get here? I need to find out how we now get back to this part.
Yeah.
I did turn to Google, so I will admit this one. But I looked up some of the opening lines, the top opening lines from some of the best books. And that was really interesting because they were bitey, engaging. You were questioning from just that first line. So that really helped as well, actually, a bit of research.
And what could you, from that research, extract what the key elements are of a good opening line, Simon?
I think for me it was that question. So there was the outsider, I think it's called, and it was something, the opening line was, mother died today, or it might have been yesterday, I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. And straight away you're like, oh, was it yesterday or today? What happened? And you were just hooked from that line. I think that's exactly what it should be.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's that creation of a sense of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and usually that's either with a question like you've done, Simon, or surprise, you know, of stating something in a way that's unusual, you know, and people go, oh, I want to know what the next thing is. And that's really the big draw of stories, because stories are, in a sense, almost like a rolling sense of anticipation. You know, you want to know what happens next, and then there's something that happens, and then you say, what's next, and what's next, and what's next. You know, and it keeps leading you towards the conclusion. And that's, like you said, you know, why stories where they show you the conclusion, and you say, how did they get there? You know, and again, there's that process of anticipation, rolling anticipation. If you look at movies, you know, that's why they sometimes have like several stories running and parallel with each other, because they would run a piece of the story, you know, create some curiosity, and you think, oh, I want to know what happened next, but they cut through, you know, some parallel story, and you go through there, and it's again, oh, you know, I want to know what's happening next, and they cut to another scene, and then they can like run, you know, around these different scenes and keep you, you know, that anticipation going, that keeps you hooked on. And again, you know, in our marketing and our business and all that, you know, we need to make more use of that power of story.
I think also important is to be genuine, because like about thinking now, listening to you, what you're saying, guys, I think because you never write a book, or I believe, which everybody will like, or so you won't please, you will not please everyone. And if it's your aim, I think it's fail. It doesn't work. As much if you feel you have something to say and you are genuine with this and you go with this, that's the thing, because something, it may turn out there will be people who will exactly share this emotion with you. For example, I like quite like ordinary opening stories, maybe with a bit of curiosity, but it's just like ordinary stuff. It doesn't need to be, you know, big bang. Yes. No, just ordinary stuff, and there's the building, the climax of the story. But everybody likes something different. But believe in yourself, believe in your story. You have something to say. And yes, if you find people who will share your emotions, that's great. If not, well, it's still your story. But yes, it's a lot of emotions behind it, and need a lot of tactical thinking, I think, also from the business perspective. So being very certain and believing what you would like to share with others, with the audience as well.
Yeah, I think the danger, you're absolutely right. I think the danger of trying to please everyone, you're going to have to try and accommodate, you know, all these different personalities and likes and dislikes and so on, you know, and the answer to that is going to be something that's completely watered down. And then nobody's going to like it.
Yes, at the end you will end up with
But if you know what your target audience is, you know what they like, you know, the way you engage with them, and you focus on that, and then be very creative in that specific narrow niche, you know, then you can be incredibly creative.
I just want to say a big thank you to you. I've not only enjoyed doing the exercises, I didn't know how I would feel about discussing it all and how it would work. And actually, I think it's brilliant. I think, I've loved hearing what everybody else has got up to and why. And it's got me thinking even more and excited about new things, and really how I think businesses can relate to trying to tell their own stories and the commercial side of things. It's like, yes, this is really good stuff. So really enjoyed it. So thank you.
I was very impressed with with all the creativity that you guys came up with. You know, I was expecting creativity, but I think, you know, you definitely exceeded my expectations. I tried to with the exercises, you know, the one was more visual, the one was more kinetic, you know, with physical things, and the other one was more word-based. So that was a very spread of different skills. And you guys excelled in all three of them, so that was really exciting.
I think it's very, very good. Like from my perspective, I work with businesses as a project support assistant, and I never thought like about marketing stuff and all those things. Like very often businesses come with plan, yes, and they have this huge marketing campaigns and plans, and I never thought actually what is behind it. Never, and now I understand how important it is from the perspective. It's obvious, it's obvious apparently, but not to me. It looks like. But
no, it's
now
a
I understand.
newfound respect for creatives.
Yes,
just
yes,
the work that
exactly.
goes in behind the scenes that we don't know about.
So I learned a lot. So thank you to everyone. Actually, it was really good experience.
You know, in some sense, I think, you know, that, you know, I know what you're saying about, you know, all the creativity that goes into marketing and so on, you know, but I think we should use more storytelling and you know, and visuals and creative opening lines in our everyday communication with other people as well, you know.
Definitely. They say that, don't they? It's facts tell, stories sell. And that's it's trying to incorporate that into it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of our businesses want to tell their story and do tell their story, but often finding new tools on how they might tell that story. And I think these exercises have actually just don't start right at the end. Like I must write my story now. Think back of, you know, unlimited thinking. What you know, how big could this go? How free could I think? And then come and hone it in at that point. So it's a really nice exercise, or good few exercises to go through, I think. So.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, it's a lot about being exposed to what other people do, you know, to see, you know, because like, again, in this exercise, it was so exciting to see all the different ways you guys came up with ideas, you know, how you interpreted the brief. And, you know, if we keep exposing ourselves to what other people think, what, you know, what they come up with, you know, how they interpret things, you know, that all goes into a, you know, into a mix of ideas in our head, and then from that we assemble our own, you know, creative solutions. My definition for creativity is, you know, it's when you know, combine two things together in a unique way, and it still serves a function. So, you know, you can combine things, you know, at random, and, you know, it can just be junk. But if you can combine it and still serves, you know, a function, you know, that's what creativity is. You know, but that also kind of, in a sense, say that, you know, the building blocks you're using for your creativity already exist, you know, not in the form that you can finally assemble it. You know, it's, again, that's why Lego is so creative, you know. So, you know, the Lego blocks, the ideas, the raw materials that exist, you know, nothing is new in the world, as they say, you know, but the way we combine them in unique ways, you know, that's what's become creative. And the more creative we are, the more, you know, attention we attract, you know, and again, to our business and so on. That's why, you know, I love what Winn is doing, because, you know, like this exercise, you know, I don't know who came up with it, you know, but it was incredibly creative thinking. And, you know, I think that's going to do a lot for, you know, exposing Winn as a, you know, dynamic, fun, creative type of organization.
Brilliant. Thank you. It's thanks to people like you who can bring us all together and make these things happen as well. So thank you so much.
We've just done an amazing session with Waxter. They've got creativity flowing out of our screens.
If you want to be creative about your storytelling for your business, then Waxter really brings things to life.
So go and visit Waxter. That's WAKSTER.com. Now that you've listened to the podcasts, we want you to get involved. Head over to the innovation platform where you can find out all the behind the scenes of the podcast episodes, as well as all the other episodes. I know. You can get involved in all the challenges, and don't forget to let us know how you got on. I want to see who can beat Anna's a Rubik's Cube time. And finally, you can also get involved and see all the amazing businesses that we feature within these podcasts. So what are you waiting for? Stop listening to me. Get on the innovation platform. Address below. Okay, so I'm just going to cut in. This is future Amy. Realising this is a podcast and you guys can't actually see the web address for the platform. So that's my bad. Sorry, guys. So to find all your podcast extras, behind the scenes, areas where you guys can also be involved in our podcast journey, head over to win-hub.wazuku.com. That's win-hub.wazuku, which is spelled WAZOKU.com. Look forward to seeing you all there, trying out the podcast challenges.
This production has been brought to you by DT Studios Visual Marketing. Directed by Terry Livesey, producers Jess Antley, Terry Livesey, Douglas Anderson. Presenters Jess Antley, Amy Bromwich, Simon DeGarris, Anna Makowska-Vines, Robin Rooney. Supported by the European Region Development Fund, HM Government, Midland Engine.